let's talk fanfic. Again, my last fanfic video was all about my experience with fanfic, and today we're talking about what I like to read and what I don't like to read. I won't get too specific into the actual fandoms, more just the tropes, alternate universes, the tags I look for on AO3. But of course, at the end, I will be sharing my favorite 2 fanfics I have ever read, ever. And even though I read the 2, I think they would be fine for anybody, regardless of if you're in the fandom or not. And I'll explain why when I get there. So really, this is just gonna be me talking at you for another 10 minutes, so enjoy. Back in 2015 and 2016, yes, I need to go back that far, bear with me, I was obsessed with the idea of a dark side, but it was something hidden, uncontrollable. And if you were an Instagram editor back in that time, you just put a filter over it. You know what I mean? I can't find the exact edit that I watched because I saved it on Instagram, but it is now gone. But it is this scene in Avengers Age of Ultron with Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. This moment, this triggered it all for me, honestly. So that was really what I was working with around that time. And let me just tell you, it translated beautifully into fanfic. And I just really loved watching these characters, these people. They were having these dark moments. And it wasn't necessarily extremely violent, Winter Soldier, but it was... Where am I going with this? I said Winter Soldier and I completely lost my train of thought. They were these mentally dark moments where these characters would disappear and we'd watch the other characters have to reconcile with this loss of them maybe being physically there but not mentally present. And at its core, what I learned later is that that's just a hurt comfort. I love hurt comfort. Physical pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, moral pain, existential pain, and then comfort. Every time, every category I've read, every character, combos I have read, it just hits every time. And down this hurt comfort alley lies angst. And according to Miriam, because yes, I wanted to Google exactly what angst was, let me pull this out, is a feeling of anxiety, apprehension, or insecurity. But I did extra research, and by that, I mean when I Googled it, I just scrolled down a little bit further to where it said something about in fanfic in particular. And it says, a genre in fanfiction that primarily focuses on themes of emotional pain, suffering, and inner turmoil experienced by the characters. Really, it's just reading about the characters' struggles or multiple struggles and how they're overcoming it. And the longer, the better. Love a slow burn. Love a slow burn in a relationship, but I love a slow burn in an overcoming of a struggle. Is that a thing? That might just be suffering. Honestly, I'm just rambling at this point, but going down the slow burn path right now, the point of the slow burn is to get to the relationship, to get to the established relationship between the characters. I actually hate reading fanfics of established characters, which is ironic because fanfic is all about the characters, whether they're canon or not canon, together in various scenarios. But I hate when they're actually established and just going about their day. I love the lead up. I love the slow burn. They don't even have to get together by the end. They can just be implied, they have to be implied that they're together by the end, and I'll be happy, and I love that. But if it's an automatically they're already together and they're just going about, I will avoid it. Unless it's like a short one shot, or like a drabble, then I'm okay with established. But most of the time when I'm looking for stuff to read, they are not together. And it's probably gonna be a while until they get together. Okay, so what have I said? I said slow burn, I've said hurt comfort, I've said angst. Oh, another one I love to hate or hate to love, miscommunication. It is painful, whether you're reading it from a single POV or a multi-POV, watching the miscommunication happen hurts every time, but it hurts so good. I just read this amazing one recently where it was one person's point of view, so we followed them down this entire train of thought because they misheard something and now they're experiencing this entire story, and then it all comes to a head and we realize that they were an unreliable narrator because they didn't have the full story because there's only one point of view. And I especially love when the writer begins to enumerate all of the signs that we missed along the way, so then you have to reread the story to see if you can pick up on all the signs and get to that point again. And there's this whole full circle moment. Look, I'm holding myself. I'm holding myself because I loved it so much. Understatement of the century, I'm one of the most expressive people in the world. So it's not surprising if I'm just reading a fic and then talking aloud to myself or gasping. I have not thrown my phone across the room yet. I have not gone to that point. I have had to put my phone down for a minute. When you download it and then it's in your books, you're able to annotate and highlight. And I actually annotated an entire fic because I wanted to add reactions, what I thought was going to happen, how I felt, just general screaming at really good, well-written parts. And honestly, I highly recommend it. I think AO3 needs an annotation feature when you save and bookmark fics for yourself. Okay, so those were pretty big generalizations about the things I like to read in general, but there are a bunch of other like tags I look for when I'm trying to find something to read. So the ones I absolutely love: friends to lovers, miscommunication, multi-perspective, angst, hurt comfort, but not hurt no comfort, idiots to lovers, trust me, secret relationship. And recently I've really gotten into the social media, text, chat, fics type idea because it's really fun to basically just be seeing what's going on like the phone, the social media aspect. And sometimes there's a written narrative part, but honestly just reading the texts is really funny. And then you're missing something in the background, but you're getting enough of it through the text conversations that it's really good. Trust me, just try a few of them. And a new contender of a tag, crack taken seriously. Now, hear me out. This one deserves an explanation if you don't know what this is. But do you remember on YouTube back in the early 2010s where there were YouTube compilations of your favorite people, and it was crack compilations, and it was just them being really silly, goofy for like a 7-minute video? That, but in the written form and taken seriously. So being taken seriously just means that all the characters are acting kind of funny and it's being taken seriously in the rest of the story. Like no one's being weird. Everyone's like, why is the person being weird? No, everyone is just cracked out. Can I say that on YouTube? But anyway, it's just so silly, and being able to see those characters act in that way, which is most likely probably different than how you see them in their form of content. It's just fun. On the other side though, I've talked about a lot of things that I do like to read, but there are a lot of things I flat out completely avoid if I see them tagged. Smut. Just never got into it, don't like it, will not read it. Established relationship, but that came with the caveat. Sickness or illness. I'll read injury, because I think that falls more under hurt comfort, but I don't like general sickness, illness, I don't like to read about it. Infidelity? Shocking how many of these sticks are out there and why that's a popular tag. Major character death. No, I'm still recovering from my real-time major character death. I am not bringing that into the field. And then there's magical realism. I'm just not a fan of any of the magic ones. Anything with like spells or witches or anything does not count. If it was a Marvel fic though, doesn't count. I'm talking about if the characters are not already involved in magic, I don't want any magic in the show. Or I don't want any magic in the fic. No magic in the fic. And then lastly, and this feels kind of crazy that I have to bring it up, anything that involves them becoming animals at any point. Now I just don't know if those are just the fandoms that I'm in that's a popular tag, but I'm not a fan. No hate, just general curiosity, honestly. Honestly, looking at that list of the things that I don't read, established relationship stands out like a sore thumb, but I stand by it. Now on to the AUs, or the alternate universes. I'm usually not really into the alternate universes, because if I'm watching the show, I like how the show has been set up in the universe that it's in, so taking it out of that universe, it takes a lot for me. I say it like it's a big deal. It takes a lot for me to like get into stories like that. I really need to be immersed in it a little bit more. I really need to be dedicated to it. If I'm just like casually looking for something, I probably won't reach towards it. If I'm looking to actually just like sit down for an established time and read, I can probably get into it if I'm really immersed in it. But like, unlike my favorite tropes and stuff, there is not really a rhyme or reason as to why I like certain AUs over another. It's purely preference. My favorite AU is coffee shop. Call me basic, I'll take it. Make one of them the barista and one of them the customer. Make both of them the baristas. Make them just be at a coffee shop all the time. I don't care. I just love that setting for some reason. Same thing with a plant shop. I don't know why a plant shop specifically, but I love it when one of them is really into plants, then like really passionate about it and knows all the little like flower language and gets to just be kind of nerdy about what each flower means and then is speaking through the flower. I eat it up every single time. Bonus points if one of them owns the plant shop and another one owns the tattoo shop next door. You have no idea how many of those I have read. I've also been known to love a pastel punk alternate universe, which isn't really an alternate universe, it's more just changing how the characters dress and act, but I've always loved that. It's very 2014 Tumblr core of me, but I will stand by it as a person who was on Tumblr in 2014. For some reason, I cannot get into musician or actor alternate universes unless those characters are literally set as musicians or actors. I don't know why. I cannot explain it. I think it like breaks a fourth wall on some level, trying to get the actors in the show to be actors in the fic. I don't know, messes with my brain for some reason. I also hate a high school AU. People love to put the characters, like age them down and put them as like childhood best friends or high school. I don't really like that. I like to keep the characters their age or like ages that we have known them. So I'm not a fan of that. So those are very much so generally my likes and dislikes when it comes to different tropes, different alternate universes, etc., etc. So now, finally, I get to tell you about my 2 favorite fanfics ever. Now, if you were in the 911 fandom, you probably know this. This is the best fanfic. This is the fanfic. Cloudy Daisies is the writer of all writers. They only have 4 fics. I have them all downloaded on my phone. I have read all of them multiple times at this point, but this is the peak one. And this one's relatively recent as well. I don't know why people look over here as if I can see the fanfic in front of me. It's relatively recent. It came out before season 8A came out, but it is the most popular fic of all time. Now, the funny thing about this, I think anybody could read this having a baseline understanding of what happens in 911. I read this before I watched the show in its entirety. I was into the fanfic before I actually watched the show, and I read this one without having the complete understanding. I knew the entire plot basically based off stuff I read on TikTok. That was it. Read this, understood it, absolutely loved it. Great character analysis. And since it was set between seasons, there wasn't really an establishment of how things were going to go. So they really just took complete creative license, and it was fantastically done. And it had everything to me. Friends to lovers, feelings realization, cute kid commentary, a little bit of angst, some miscommunication, intense inner monologues and character studies. And this writer in particular is particularly amazing at setting up a thread throughout the entire story that you see at the end and you're like, oh, it was all connected, but you don't realize it's all connected until you get to the end, which makes you have to go back to the beginning and read it all again. I reread this story all the time. We'll probably reread it again soon, just because there's always a new detail to find. Just an incredible storyteller. And this next one, this is the last real person fanfic I've read. So I read this about maybe a year ago, but I still think about it. This one's from the fandom. And this is probably the closest I've gotten to magic, because this story is a complete mind meld. I don't even understand how it was storyboarded out, because it's set in 6 different alternate universes, all tied together by one character's dreams. So every time the character fell asleep, they'd wake up in a new alternate universe, and they'd have to go through, and they were all connected. So they were themselves in every alternate universe, but in a different way. One was a coffee shop AU, one was set 1920s detective, one was they were a veterinarian, and then we didn't even get to them actually based in reality, actual reality, until like maybe halfway through the entire story. And all these stories are connected, and we slowly realize, along with the character we're following, that they need to fix something in each alternate universe before the dreams finally stop and they can just be rooted in reality again. This story took my breath away. It was insane to read each storyline as it progressed, and we jump back and forth between each AU, and then we'd have to follow and remember, oh, when they're here, they have to do this. When they're here, they have to do this. And following the thread, I am dying to know how this author storyboarded this entire thing to figure out where to go from here and how to go to there, and how to basically develop 6 different stories into one story at once. And honestly, you don't even need to know the characters to enjoy this book. You just need to read the names. That's it, because everything else is so fleshed out. There's no callbacks to something you should know because of something that happened. It's all completely just established for you in the story. This was really just a ramble. This was just a complete ramble. I don't even know if half of this made sense. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you check out these 2 authors on AO3, or just try out AO3 for whatever thing you're interested in, whatever characters, whatever show you're interested in. It's not all just shipping. It really is just characters, stories, sometimes following canon compliancy, but extending it a little bit more. Sometimes things out of canon that maybe would just make the show better in your eyes. There's something for everyone, truly. So like always, comment down below if you you agree with me or disagree with me about anything that I said that I liked or disliked. For more of my ramblings, you can check out my channel down below. There's a video and you could subscribe in the corners over here. So have a good day, read some fanfic, and I'll see you next time.